According to Mark Driscoll, an author for New York Times bestsellers in 2014, there is someone who has more songs being sent to him, more paintings painted of him, and more books written about him. His name is Jesus. You might agree that he's a pretty important person in the world, and it's important for us to understand his identity correctly. I surveyed some of my DVC friends, and I asked the questions, who do you think Jesus is? I got the answers. He was a spiritual leader, he was a moral person, he was a good teacher. Hypothetically speaking, if I ask people around the world of all religions, probably the number one answer I will get is Jesus was a good teacher. In fact, there's something more than that. Today, I'm going to persuade you that Jesus was not a merely good teacher. According to the C.S. Lewis, his book Mere Christianity was published in 1952, and he explained the most common opinion of Jesus is, I'm ready to accept Jesus as a great moral teacher, but I don't accept his claim to be God. One of his famous arguments is the Lewis Trilemma in the book. And he explained that there's no way Jesus can be just a good teacher. In fact, there's only three possible identities of Jesus. Is lunatic, liar, and the Lord. Let me tell you why. First, let's take a look at lunatic. If Jesus claims to be God, yet in fact he's not, then he must be a lunatic, meaning he's crazy, he's out of his mind. If you see some people on the street and claim to be God, I'm sure it wouldn't take you long for you to realize this person is out of his mind or her mind. Lunatic usually being found out quickly. In fact, 2,000 years later today, there are still people who keep following Jesus. And if Jesus was a lunatic, after a while, people would have stopped following him because lunatic always get found out. And also, people usually don't respect lunatic. In fact, today, Jesus is being respected in so many ways. For example, in the US, the president will have to put their hand on the Bible during the presidential inauguration. If I tell you that I'm God, you might think I'm a lunatic. If you don't think I'm a lunatic, you might think that I'm a liar. So, if Jesus was a liar, eventually, people will find out and will have stopped following him. Again, even till today, 2,000 years later, there are still people who keep following Jesus, and the number is still growing every day. And if Jesus was a liar, I want to say congrats to Jesus, because that just made him the greatest deceiver in the whole world. Because you see, there are churches around being dedicated to his name. There are people getting baptized because of Jesus. There are children being taught to pray to Jesus before they go to bed, and on and on. That only leads to one possibility: the Lord. Let's look at the book of John. Jesus says, I'm the Messiah. I'm the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry again. Whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. I'm the bread that came down from heaven. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me. And you can find so much more in the Bible. And that just makes him not a good teacher, because if a good teacher would simply not put themselves in the high and exclusive positions. That just made the good teacher arrogant. If I came to you that saying, drink from me, you'll never be thirsty again. Eat me, you'll never be hungry. You probably think I'm arrogant, I'm lunatic, I'm lying, or I'm being serious. Also, according to the CNS News, between 2003 and June 9, 2014, at least 1,131 Christians were identified by the name and place of death had been murdered by ISIS. Even till today, throughout the history, there are people who are willing to die because of Jesus. Are you willing to give up your life because for someone who's a lunatic or a liar? If it was something fake, why would people give up their life? I wouldn't. With all being said, if Jesus claims to be God, there's only two possibilities. First, it's either false or truth? Let's look at the false. If Jesus claims to be God, and there's two possibilities. He knew his claim was false, or he doesn't know. If he knew his claims was false, then he just made a misrepresentations purposely, and that makes him a liar. In fact, he was hanging on the cross because he was accused of hypocrite. Or he really had no idea his claims was false. Then he was sincerely deluded. Then he was a lunatic. Or if Jesus claims to be God and is truth, that just makes him the Lord. And you can either accept it or reject it. According to the C.S. Lewis, he drawn in conclusions. You can shut him up for a fool, you can spit at him and kill him as a demon, or you can fall at his feet and call him Lord and God. But let us not come with any patronizing nonsense about his being a great human teacher. Now it seems to me obvious that he was neither a lunatic nor a friend, and consequently, however strange or terrifying or unlikely it may seem, I have to accept the view that he was and is God. For Mark chapter 8, 28 to 29, some disciples asked Jesus, "Who are you?" Some say you are John the Baptist. Some say you are Elijah, and others say you are one of the prophets. And Jesus asked, "What about you? Who do you think I am?" When I was 16 in China, I started to attend an underground church. And ever since then, I have decided to follow Jesus for 3.5 years. Now I can tell you for hours how Jesus has been a fulfillment in my life, and how Jesus has been a great joy, and how Jesus changed my life. But at the end of the day, it's your decisions to make how you think about his identity and how are you going to respond to his identity. So my questions for you today is, who do you think Jesus is? Thank you.